I was happy that y'all let me lead that because it felt.
You should do guided meditations. You were so
Maybe I
calming.
will. Let us know if you want those, guys. But yeah, I feel like the more specific we can get, Shay, about like little things everybody can do to handle stress or anxiety, I think is really important because it might not work for everybody, but then you get lots of options. So what are some other options that you exercise?
Yeah, so I would say going outside, if you have an outdoor space where you live, that always really helps me, whether I realize it or not. Just getting some sunlight and feeling the breeze. It's so nice. Drinking a cold glass of water actually really helps to calm me down. I don't know. When I'm feeling really stressed about homework especially, I kind of just stop. I walk into the kitchen. I get a cold glass of water. Having alone time.
Yeah.
That really helps. I'm going to circle back to that in a sec, but another small thing, I have a fidget ring. If you guys are watching, it is amazing. You can like spin the little thing. So
because I will pick at my fingers.
Yeah, me too. I'll like literally rip at my nail and it's not great. And sometimes I bleed and it's really painful. So instead of doing that, then it's still something that's like an actual feeling. And it's not harmful.
Ring. Yep.
Which is great. But alone time is a massive thing for me that helps with my mental health and just taking a second to like calm down and breathe and not think about anything. And I really realized that through quarantine. I know there were so many not great parts of that experience and that's still ongoing, but one of the great things that I took away from it was that forced alone time and forced downtime at home. I really realized that that's something I need for myself, and now it's implemented into my everyday. Like being here doing the podcast with you, I take alone time at lunch because I need it to get through the day. And so some people love socialization and they use that as a tactic to help with their stressors and their anxiety, but for me, I need to have downtime.
Yes.
So
I agree. I love that we talked about animals with Paulina because those do give me a lot of space, but I love reading and that's my alone time.
You know, I was actually going to bring that up too because I was saying things that make you just get out of your head and forget that time exists and you can spend hours doing it without realizing.
Yeah.
Reading is a massive thing that helps me do that.
Yeah. And we're lucky ducky in California. We have mostly pretty good weather. So I will take my book outside. I will curl up with my puppy dog and I will just have a little bit of alone time. So whatever works for you, it's just, I thought it was really good that we give some options. And because mental health is a serious topic and it really does affect people in a variety of ways, we wanted to have an expert on the show who could help us answer some additional questions from her expertise. She's a licensed social worker and a therapist. Her name is Katie Hurley. She's also an advisor on the Body Book for that Smart Girls does. So anyway, Katie's going to join us and we've got some questions from your community about mental well-being and mindfulness and maybe some ways that we can understand what's also happening in our body when we feel anxiety. So let's dig in with Katie. Katie, we're so happy to have you here with us. These questions are about mental health and mindfulness. We got a lot of them. We picked a couple we'd really love your help with. So I'll start. This person writes in and says, sometimes I'm really stressed and my mind starts spinning. What can I do to stop my brain from just going and going? What's happening during these anxious moments?
That's an excellent question. And so many people are feeling that way right now. So just first of all, know that you are totally not alone. This is super common right now. The two things that I always recommend, first of all, the single best thing you can really learn how to do is proper deep breathing. And I actually usually call it slow breathing because sometimes when we say deep breathing, people start taking these really fast, big breaths, and that can actually make that feeling a little bit worse. So when you learn to slow it down, it can really help. And a fun way to do that you can do anywhere at any time and no one even knows you're doing it is to practice what we call square breathing. So what you do is you trace a square in the palm of your hand. And when you're tracing the one side up on the square, you count to 4 while you breathe in. And then when you're going across the top, you count to 4 while you hold. And then on the way down, you count to 4 while you exhale. And then you count to 4 again on the way over while you hold. So you trace a square while you take these really slow, this nice slow breath. And the holding parts are actually really important because that's the part, that's where your brain starts to get the message, okay, we're doing this now, we're slowing down. So when you do that, you actually tell your whole nervous system, to just calm down and stop overreacting to whatever is making you feel really stressed out.
I love that because you could do that like in a class, or you could do that anywhere. It doesn't have to be very obvious.
Yeah,
right?
And also the feeling of like you're against your hand is actually really calming too in and of itself. So I like that.
That's right. So the second thing you can do that's super helpful is a grounding technique. So this is where we tell our brain to stay focused on what's happening right now. And the easiest way to do it is to ground yourself in your senses. So to say out loud, it actually helps to talk out loud because it tells your brain, we're doing this now, I'm in charge now. So to say out loud, one thing that you can see, one thing that you can hear, one thing that you can feel, and one thing that you can smell. And when you do that, you're grounding yourself in the here and now, and you can't worry about other things.
I love that because I do that actually. That was a technique that my healthcare provider gave me when I was really struggling with anxiety. I sometimes say them out loud. If I'm in public, I might not, but it helps me to like go through the senses. I think we talked about that. Yeah, I really love that piece of advice. And that will help your brain and your body communicate, right, Katie?
That's right. Yeah. Because what happens when we feel stressed out is basically our brains are overreacting to a situation and saying, this is too much. This is really scary. I feel dysregulated and a little out of control. So when we pair that deep breathing with just paying attention to our surroundings and how we feel, it helps our brain tell our bodies, let's slow down. We're going to be okay. We can get through this.
Cool.
Yeah, I like that one. I have another question from my audience. Somebody asked, how do you know when you aren't okay and need to talk to someone?
Another great question. So I always say it never hurts to talk to someone, but it might hurt if you keep waiting and waiting and waiting and putting it off. So sometimes talking to someone is talking to someone like me. Sometimes it can be checking in with a teacher that you really like, a coach, somebody that teaches an art class outside of school. It can be an aunt or uncle or, sibling or friend's mom, someone that you're close to, your own parent. So, a first step is to really learn how to say, I'm not okay right now, and to go to an adult that you trust and say that. But if you're feeling like it's really hard to go to school or hang out with your friends or go to whatever sport you like to play or activity you like to do, if you're just feeling like, I don't want to do those things anymore, everything feels too hard, that's usually a good sign that you should get some help from someone.
And can we go a step deeper into that advice too, Katie, from your experience? Like, let's say there's a young listener who has really talked to some folks and it's not helping in the way that they think they need, but they've never asked to go see a therapist. And maybe they're afraid that their parents won't take them or won't think they need it. I've seen some of those questions come in too.
Yeah, totally.
Can we talk about some language that you would advise how a young person or any person could broach that subject with the caregiver in their life?
Yeah, I think one thing is to just really name it. When we can name what we're going through, we can ask for the proper help. So if you can say, and sometimes it's honestly easier to text a caregiver or write a note the first time. Sometimes it can be hard to have these conversations face to face or take a walk with that person. But any way that you can just go to that person and say, I'm feeling really worried a lot of the time, or I'm feeling really sad a lot of the time, and I need someone else to help me with this because it's not going away. That's the most important message that you want to get across.
I really love that. I also like the idea that you could text or write a note if the face-to-face is too much. All right, last question that came in is, and this kind of goes into that, I'm scared to talk about my feelings. I might have social anxiety, but I'm scared that people will think that I just want attention. What can I do?
So one thing that is really hard for tweens and teens is that when they say things like, I'm super anxious, or I'm super depressed, or I'm overwhelmed, people assume that they're being, quote, dramatic, which is a word I really don't love at all. And so people say like, oh, you're just making it up, or you're exaggerating, or you think that you have all the problems. But a lot of kids are feeling this way right now. A lot of tweens and teens are really struggling right now. So I think, Mr. Rogers used to say, if it's mentionable, it's manageable. So learning how to use the words to describe how you're feeling It's really important. And the easiest way to do that, honestly, is to look yourself in the mirror and just say it over and over again. I feel anxious. I feel worried. I think I might be depressed. I feel anxious. I'm struggling to talk to friends. And just keep saying it until it kind of rolls off your tongue. That helps your brain get into the habit of using the right language to describe what you're going through.
Yeah, Shay and I've talked about this a lot on the show, that there's this stereotype and misperception that girls are just so emotional or their feelings are just so big. And we really want to help normalize all of the emotional range that we have, but specifically when we're in need of help. And we're just so grateful that you said that, the big thing I'm taking away is use the right language. And really that feels like such an empowering thing to do.
Yeah, I fully agree.
I want to jump on something you said, because Shay and I talk about it a lot, the negative self-talk that girls and all folks can have in their minds running constantly can be like a bad song, like it's kind of always in the background of like what you didn't do or what you don't look like or what you don't have. Do you experience that kind of negative self-talk, and what have you done to change it?
I'm so glad you asked that. Yes, all the time. As you said, it is like a song stuck in your head. It's a subconscious thing. Yeah. I have realized, and I think I heard this somewhere, and I don't know who to give credit to, but it's a well-worn idea that you can't think yourself out of thinking differently. You can act yourself out of thinking differently.
That goes back to the esteemable acts thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Wow. It's the actions that you make. So for example, if I'm having a moment of negative self-talk, I can't really battle with myself within my mind, but what I can do is try to commit an esteemable act, or go help somebody else, help my mom out, or interact with the world to get out of my own head.
Yes. And you talk a lot about that, Shay, about self-care and the things that you can do to get back to you.
Totally. I was literally just about to ask you, Navia, what are the things that you do that get you out of those places of negative self-talk? Is there like a specific hobby or something you do? I know you like to use your voice a lot and you're very passionate about your activism. Is that something that helps you?
Totally. I mean, focusing on the larger world at hand.
Yeah.
As I said, getting out into the world to get out of my own head. So for me, thanks for bringing that up, Shay. Very sweet. Sometimes that does show itself in like social justice work, and sometimes it's even smaller than that. It's things within my house. It's checking on my dad or my mom because they might feel the exact same way I do right then, or it's something like that. And it's maybe even what you said, Shay, about caring. It's exercising the ability and power that is caring, and that totally radiates from you. And I'm glad that you said that about yourself.
Do you guys want me to leave the room?
Yes.
No, you're on this day.
No, I'm kidding.
I think you care a lot too, Jess.
I care an awful lot.
Yes,
I mean, I care about this topic. I've been talking about it for a long, long time with young people all over the world. And I think you both are hitting on beautiful notes, which is, again, it's the relationship to ourselves. But I love what we're saying about we've got to act our way into feeling differently. Sometimes we can't battle thought to thought. And that's what I like about the advice here is it's got to be really practical. And one of the things we've talked about is that trust and trusting yourself and trusting others is a big part of learning to like yourself. And trust takes action over time, right? So I'm curious, how you've learned to trust yourself.
I think I'm still learning to trust myself, but trust in myself has come with trying to know myself. So it's kind of what I said earlier about not running away from self-doubt, but kind of leaning in and asking myself, why am I feeling this way? What is causing this negative self-talk? Sometimes it's completely invalid stuff like, I'm thinking negatively about my chubby cheeks right now, my baby face, because people used to make fun of me about that in kindergarten. So that's completely invalid. But sometimes it's important things I need to recognize. This negative self-talk is happening because I didn't put enough effort into X, you know? And so I like to lean in, and through knowing myself and knowing when those feelings are valid, I can learn to trust myself and my instincts.
I really love that.
Ask yourself questions.
Yeah, I love that too.
We talk about that a lot. Curiosity is a huge part of building a friendship, but it's also a good part of building how you know who you are.